Homelessness in Glasgow.
Homelessness in Glasgow is a severe and ongoing issue that is growing. This is driven by a combination of social and economic factors. The city faces an unusually high demand for support in the homeless housing aspect. The city's response has included a high use of temporary accommodation, including hotels and B&Bs, but many people also still remain in communal shelters. Glasgow's local authorities and charities continues to support. However, with the growing issue, there is a fear of running out of funding. The key issues that are being faced is housing supply and affordability, temporary accommodation pressures, asylum and refugee flows, and systematic pressures. Glasgow City Council is currently using a mix of leadership approaches. A few are participative and strategic. This is to tackle the issue of homelessness. It requires partnership of different people with different ideas to allow all ideas to be combined. Participative leadership is a style in which leaders foster an inclusive and collaborative environment. They actively involve employees in discussion and decision making. This approach encourages teamwork, shared responsibility, and a culture where mistakes are addressed constructively rather than through the blame. Strategic leadership is a leadership approach that's aim is on long-term planning and having a well-defined vision for further future. It involves leaders applying strategic and creative problem solving to guide the team to achieve their goals. Currently, these approaches are not working due to refugees, funding, housing supply and weak contingency planning. The leaders of Glasgow City Council has called for an urgent support from the Home Office as a new figure revealed the city could be forced to spend up to 66 million on refugees housing next year. This suggests that a large amount of money is having to be spent on refugees coming into the country, and this amount doesn't include people that are seeking help already. 12.4% of homeless applications in Glasgow have came from people that are recognised as refugees from outside of Scotland. People will receive shorter temporary permission to remain, and gaining permanent status will become much more difficult. The Labour government also intends to simplify the process of removing individuals from the country if their asylum applications are rejected. This suggests that people won't be able to settle in a house as they know they will be moving again in such a little time, which also will give the individual uncertainty on what's to come. The funding, although the Scottish Government is pledged to have 100 million support on rapid rehousing, research indicates that the overall funding for homelessness services in Scotland has been declining since 2016, especially for housing support. The housing supply is the government needs to build at scale and buy more homes to reduce the number of empty properties in the public and private sector. The weak contingency planning. The threats were issued because of the council's failure to provide temporary accommodation when obliged to do so, or it is violation for the unsuitable accommodation order. The councillor Alan Casey, SNP, the councillor's homelessness conserver, used the need for the proper funding as the number of people seeking assistance continues to grow. A few things that could be done differently is scale up rapid housing, stronger strategic contingency and advocacy of leadership for funding. The rapid rehousing reduces the amount of time spent in unsuitable accommodation, cuts costs, frees capacity, and it also prevents long-term damage and causes by homelessness traps. A stronger contingency plan reduces the city's dependency on crisis, on hotel uses, and protects vulnerable people from being left without accommodation. A stronger advocacy coalition would help Glasgow secure the resources and legal active flexibility needed to meet its duties of national policies changes and asylum systems is reinforced.
This information clearly shows Glasgow City Council is currently trying to dismiss and keep the homelessness issue at bay as much as possible instead of actually trying to get rid of the issue completely. This issue shows that Glasgow City Council needs to implement serious structural change among all different agencies, including the Council, NHS services, addiction agencies, Homeless Network Scotland, and housing associations. If they want this issue to be fully resolved, it is important all of these agencies work together in order to achieve this shared vision, which would be the resolution of homelessness within Glasgow, in order for it to become a rare issue and not an ongoing issue. Another good option for Glasgow City Council to use in this solution would be collaborative leadership style, which is a theory surrounding the efforts of multiple agencies coming together to solve an intricate problem which is unable to be resolved by one. Both theories, transformational and collaborative, would have to be used alongside each other in order to provide the best possible solution. Other leadership theories would be unsuitable for this issue for many reasons. Autocratic leadership gives one person all the power, which in this situation, when so many people are affected and involved, this would not be beneficial. Transactional leadership is too focused on rules, rewards and punishments, which would come across very unsensitive and impersonal to the public. Laissez-faire leadership would cause total chaos and confusion, as there is no guidance or coordination which would be necessary to solve this issue. This proves the best possible chance Glasgow City Council have to resolve this crisis would be to implement transformational and collaborative leadership styles to their practices.
To tackle homelessness in Glasgow at its root, we're proposing a city-wide early risk detection system designed to prevent homelessness before it ever occurs. Homelessness rarely appears out of nowhere, and it's usually the final result of lots of smaller pressures building up over time. This model uses fully anonymous, cross-functional data to identify those pressures early and give frontline teams the chance to intervene sooner. The system looks at a range of indicators, including housing factors like repeatedly late or missed rent payments and overdue reminders from landlords, health indicators like frequent visits to A&E and missed drug or mental health appointments, social signs such as children being absent from school or domestic violence reports, and economic indicators like job losses and reduced working hours. AI analyses these patterns and flags households that may be at higher risk, but AI never has the final say. All flagged cases are reviewed by trained human analysis, while the data remains anonymous to reduce bias. Only if the analysts believe the risk is genuine is the case passed on to the appropriate service, whether that's social work, mental health teams, or housing services. Once identified, these teams can step in with early specialised support. That might be negotiating with landlords before eviction begins, offering emergency financial help, providing mental health intervention, or helping someone secure new accommodation before they reach crisis point. For the model to be credible and ethical, the methodology behind the algorithm should be published and moderation should be provided by a board that includes tech experts, housing leaders, and people with lived experiences. This ensures transparency, fairness, and that human judgment remains at the centre of all decisions. This approach tackles the root causes of homelessness and gives Glasgow the tools to prevent it long before it becomes a crisis. Benefits of the early detection system is it allows for early intervention before homelessness even occurs. It makes support more specialised, that person and their needs, and it picks up cases that may have flown under the radar. Weaknesses is it creates false positives and negatives. So it could say that someone is at risk of homelessness when they're not, which could create waste of resources, and it could also miss someone that does need support. Privacy concerns, data leaks and data breaches through AI, and the overall reliance of the algorithm